vice grip. It's no accident that I begin a book about regrets with a chapter titled, Your Future is Brighter Than You Think, because no matter what your should-haves, what-ifs, and if-onlys are, you can make the same kind of decision Mr. Claypool made. You can glean whatever you can from your past and decide to move forward. You can take hold of tomorrow, starting today. This book will show you how. In this chapter, we begin by taking an honest look at your regrets. I want to help you hunt them down and smoke them out. I want to help you survey your past and pinpoint every significant nag on your conscience that may be keeping you from living fully in the present. I follow this with a few thoughts on why letting go of regret is so tough. The better we understand this why, the more quickly we can get to the how. I conclude the chapter with a revelation of exactly what the forward-moving process outlined in this book will do for you. And I believe it is more than you can imagine. For moving beyond your past will bring you to who you were truly meant to be. To avoid any potential confusion, allow me to clarify and define our topic of regret. Regret is a feeling of disappointment, distress, or heartache over an unfulfilled desire or an action performed or not performed. Regret has a broad range of applications, from a mere frustration in not being able to do something to a painful sense of loss or longing. It applies to things we have done or left undone. It applies to actions we initiate as well as to actions that happen to us. It is for this reason that all of us have regrets. Each of us fears what is beyond our current circumstances. There's comfort in knowing what to expect, even if it's not as good as we think it could be. The power of this innate desire to hold on to what we know can compel a mistreated or abused person to put up with misery in order to have the payoff of knowing what's coming. So it stands to reason that when we wallow in regret, we fear what would happen if we were to let go. That's why so many of us hold on to regret for so long. It doesn't matter if you are an athlete, a stay-at-home mom, a business executive, a teacher, or anything else. Staying in your comfort zone of what is will likely rob you of what could be. While earning my doctoral degree in psychology, one of my professors painted an image I've always remembered. She told me that we crucify ourselves between two thieves, regret for yesterday and fear of tomorrow. And through the years, I've discovered just what she meant. I have seen too many people stuck in the rut of regret because they fear what the future might bring. If they were to let go of what they already know, even if it tortures them with regret and guilt, they don't know exactly where that would take them, so they settle for something less. We can't see what life would be like if we were to let go of our should-haves, what-ifs, and if-onlys. But we can reach beyond where our past has brought us and enjoy the glory of a better day. We can move forward. In fact, we must move forward. Our futures depend upon it. Some time ago, my wife Leslie and I came upon a listing of the 100 greatest movies ever made. Perhaps you've seen the list too. It motivated us to rent a few classics we'd never considered before. And I'm glad we did. On the Waterfront, the 1954 film starring Marlon Brando as a former boxer named Terry Malloy, has a piercing message for anyone who has battled regret. When the movie begins, Terry's boxing days are long past. He's been reduced to an errand boy for the mob. As the movie progresses, we learn Terry once had the potential to be a championship prize fighter, but he squandered his opportunity by agreeing to the mob's request that he take a dive in the boxing ring when he could have easily won the fight. Sadly, the encouragement to throw the fight came from his own mobster brother, Charlie. The consequences of Terry's choices were numerous. He squanders a promising boxing career and a shot at the title. He becomes entangled with the mob and unwittingly a mob hit. When Terry is subpoenaed, the mob sends his brother Charlie to convince him to keep his mouth shut. On a night ride in the back of a cramped taxi, Charlie begins to chide Terry for squandering his boxing career. Charlie says, "You could have been another Billy Conn. That skunk we got you for a manager, he brought you along too fast." Terry stares in disbelief, looking for beneath eyelids puffy and scarred from boxing. A dumbfounded Terry says, "It wasn't the manager. It was you, Charlie. You remember that night in the garden you came down and said, 'It's not your night, kid. It's not your night.' I could have torn Wilson apart." The heartbreak of a future that has been lost creases Terry's face. Then all of Terry's regret pours out like a river. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am. All the rage of the boxer recedes as quickly as it had come and is replaced by the hopeless look of a man who has seen his future slip away. Have you ever felt that way? Have your regrets ever fueled you with quick burning passion only to die before they get you to do something about them? Deep down, you know you could have been something you are not today because you chose the wrong road, or maybe no road at all. Your choice may concern a relationship, finances, family, career, or even your character. It may not be worthy of a cinematic tale, but its personal consequences are just as dramatic. You wouldn't be listening to this tape if it were otherwise. Terry Malloy eventually redeems himself. He gets a grip on his regrets and stops looking back over his shoulder at what could have been. He begins making difficult but good choices. Terry goes to trial and testifies against the mob and becomes that somebody he was destined to be. And that's exactly what happens when we take the fruit from our past and burn to ashes the regrets and guilt that have weighed us down. We become who we were meant to be. Your future's brighter than you think because you, right now, are taking steps to learn from regret, move forward, and discover everything your destiny entails. God wants you to love the life you live, to achieve enduring peace, long-lasting joy, and a deep level of emotional and spiritual health. Before leaving this first chapter, I want to tell you about a concern I have for you. As a psychologist who trains other counselors, I know that people will sometimes come into a counselor's office to make progress in some areas of their lives, and after a few sessions, they decide that therapy, well, it isn't working. Fair enough. However, I have enough experience to know that some people think that the good that comes through therapy is the result of just showing up for the sessions, when in fact the good comes from working hard to make positive changes outside of the counseling office. My concern for you as you listen to this tape is that you might treat each chapter as some people treat a counseling session, thinking that just listening is going to bring about improvement. Well, it's not. Improvement will come after you set the tape aside and work at putting the guidelines into practice. So let me make a suggestion. Rather than mentally checking off each chapter as you complete it, consider how it will help you directly in reaching your personal goal. Subsumed in this suggestion, of course, is the assumption that you have a specific goal. Have you articulated it? If not, let me help. Consider right now how you and your life would be different if you achieved what you hope this tape will do for you. In other words, how will you know when you have reached the place you want to be with your regrets? By sincerely answering this question in concrete terms, you will have an automatic measuring post for assessing your progress along the way. At the conclusion of each chapter, you'll be able to apply it more specifically to your overarching goal. Maybe your grand goal would be something like, I'll be able to recall the memory of my mother without cringing over the way our relationship was. Or, I'll value more deeply my imperfect self, flaws and all, by seeing me as my Creator does. Perhaps it'll read, I will be free from the secret life of sexual regrets that have haunted me for years. I will live more fully in the present, from moment to moment. I will feel at peace with myself as a parent in spite of the mistakes I've made, and make amends with my children. I don't know what your overarching goal is for listening to this tape, but I want you to keep it in mind as you listen. And I especially want you to revisit it at the conclusion of each chapter. Some chapters will have more relevance to your situation than others, but with each one, I urge you to apply its content to helping you get where you want to go. And I'll be praying for you all the way. Chapter 2, Moving Past Your Past. An old legend portrays three men. Maybe one of them is like you. Each carries two sacks, one tied in front of his neck and the other rests on his back. When the first man was asked what was in his sacks, he said, "In the sack on my back are all the good things friends and family have done. That way they're hidden from view. In the front sack are all the bad things